if a guy's gone through a divorce, he's almost kind of like exiled. That's a horrible thing. He broke his word. Again, there's circumstances different in every divorce, or like their business fails. They kind of have that stain on their reputation. And what we're trying to do as well is just create a vulnerable community. I think masculinity, is going multiple different ways today. You see so much of it. We're influenced by so much of this like masculinity, like testosterone heavy kind of guy that's just dominating and whatever it might be, whether it's like the physique or whether it is what they have in life, in their business background, whatever that might be. So I think it's just trying to bridge the two.
Hey, gentlemen. Eli, Kyle, nice to meet you guys. I'm Brian.
And I'm
Hey,
Manny.
Brian. Hey, Manny, what's going on,
What's up, guys?
Hey, not too much. Welcome. Thanks for joining us here on the Business Line podcast. We're really excited to get to know you guys and see what you have to share and see what we can learn from you guys today.
Heck yeah. I love
Let's
the
do it.
Are You Serious, Clark? Real quick, sorry to interrupt you. That Are You Serious,
That's okay.
Clark? Little chalkboard.
You like the quote? I
Good
got to
touch.
change it. I
Love
keep
it.
forgetting to change it. I had these aspirations that I was going to change it every day, but I didn't.
It's funny. I probably have watched that movie about 3 times already this holiday season.
Oh, yeah.
It's not only my favorite Christmas movie, it's
Really?
my all-time favorite movie. So, nice
Okay.
choice.
I told you that's the second time it's been someone's favorite movie. It's one of the biggest ones.
Which one?
Remember when you came over, was it last Thanksgiving? You guys came over last year?
Mm-hmm.
And I put that on. It was the first time I let my son watch it because he was 11. So I kind of held out. There's a couple questionable innuendo parts and stuff.
Absolutely.
In it, And, but he's okay for it now. And,
That's awesome.
but that was that one. So
Okay.
yeah, it's definitely my favorite too. For
Right
sure. I
on.
went and saw that movie when I was 9 years old by myself in a movie theater in 1989.
Wow.
Fact.
That's awesome.
Crazy.
I remember. I didn't know what I was getting into. You see the trailers back then, and it just looks like a funny Christmas movie.
Totally.
And at the time, my
It came out at that time?
Came out in 1989. I was 9 years old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I used to go to the movies all the time by myself. It's just kind of what I did. And I said, hey, I want to go see this. And they dropped me off. And,
Yeah, those were the
and-
good days when you could go alone, right?
yeah.
Even as a kid, yeah.
I was a big kid, big little kid, though. I was
Okay.
like,
Nice.
I was as tall as my wife is and chunky and stuff. So no one was going to kidnap me. I'd
That's
cost too
awesome.
much to feed me.
Ah,
So
That's
tell us
awesome.
about, introduce yourself, guys. Tell the audience who you guys are, a little bit about what you're doing, and we're going to explore. We're going to find out a little bit about your history and what kind of got you to what you're doing these days and see where the conversation takes us.
Kyle, you jump in first, man.
Absolutely. I can jump in. Yeah. So Eli and I, we've been buddies for 8 or 9 years now or so, maybe 10. I don't know. It's been a while now. And we've always kind of
remember that.
chased this entrepreneurial business, kind of path in our life together. So we've always been starting businesses, part of different startups. We've had a podcast as well for a while, and we're restarting a new one. But we've just kind of done this journey together with branding, and it's been really cool. We are always ratcheting on each other, having a good time. But we've built several businesses together so far, and it's been a really good journey. And through this journey, we've gone through some trials and tribulations and some crazy ups and downs. And so it's been cool to have a co-founder and a good friend to do it all with. So we're here in Central Oregon, Bend, Oregon. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but it's a good place to live and visit if you guys haven't came out.
I've never been to Oregon yet, but we got to get out there. We had a client out that way for a while, but they sold their practice. But anyway, Eli.
Yes. I mean, my background's kind of similar to Kyle's. Mine took more of the entrepreneurial bug kind of hit me when we were a part of a social network together. It was called Soul ID. It was an action sports social network. That to me was kind of my roots and what I love. That's my passion is action sports, mountain biking, snowboarding, motorcycles, all that stuff. So Kyle and I got connected there, and that was kind of my gateway drug into entrepreneurship. And then from there, I jumped into the e-commerce world. I built a couple brands in the outdoors space. And then Kyle and I saw an opportunity. We started another business together. That's been around now for 8 years. It's in the media space, so product photo, product videos for e-commerce brands. And then Kyle and I jumped into another company together, and now we're involved in this men's coaching business that we just started. So there's a lot of just similarities, yin and yang, between Kyle and I. Like he mentioned, that podcast we had was just an amazing way to just meet thought leaders in the business world. So we've had just some massive highs and some massive lows together. And we've always kind of done things and just been a part of, stuff like this together, or, other aspects of business and life, just personal life intertwined as well. He's my best man at my wedding coming up too. So
there you go. Best buds. I mean? That's kind of like, it's similar to Manny and I. It's been since 2016. It's going on 8 years that we've right been wasting each other's time like this. No, I noticed on Apple Podcasts you had like 161 episodes of that one went through August. Did you mention you guys are rebuilding a podcast or doing something new now, or what's going on there?
Yeah, we did the Biz Bros for a long time. And we had some really cool guests on there. And the whole goal for us for the Biz Bros was just to be sponges and absorb. It wasn't really for a little bit of brand building, but when you have a podcast and you throw on 50 to 100 episodes on it, most people just jump on because it's established at that point. So we were able just to talk to really anybody we wanted to and just gain tons of business, personal development, and all kinds of just some pretty out there stuff too people would bring up, but it was good. And then we kind of took a pause, kind of rethought what we were moving towards in life. And now we're launching a new podcast called the Peak Podcast, which is focused on our men's coaching program that we have. We have a methodology called the 5 Pillars of Fulfillment, which focus on self-awareness, self-discipline, goal setting, purpose, and ownership. And that's going to be really wrapped around diving into those different topics, having thought leaders, life coaches, really anyone that kind of falls into those, maybe a good story about when they learned good self-awareness and resilience, and jump on and just kind of riff back and forth and talk about it.
Very cool.
Yeah. So let's talk about this, a peak fulfillment men's coaching. So what kind of audience you're trying to hit, with this?
Yeah. So the audience here focuses on men that it's focused around men as well. And this is typically when they've been involved in something and or kind of looking for that next step in life. Like, where are they going to pursue? So we're between the ages of 30 to 55 is kind of where most of them land. And the audience here can be really anybody from somebody starting to build a business or anybody looking to, build a relationship. It's all about trying to create fulfillment in life. And that's why we call it peak fulfillment, is we help guys kind of rise to the top, rise to their peak fulfillment. And it can really be in any aspect of life, whether they've gone through some trauma and they're looking for some positivity, some light at the end of the tunnel. And that's really our goal. And that's our mission that we've set out to do, is to give guys a voice and a community as well. That's something that is a little bit more rare in, as being a man, is you're supposed to be masculine, keep all your feelings to yourself. And this program should be building a community where guys can be a little more vulnerable and try to reach that fulfillment in their life. And that's what we've set out to do.
It's not just for any, businessmen or people who are already successful in their life and looking for the next steps. It's for everyone who wants, to rise up in life. Every man that, going through hardships, right? This is
Precisely.
about, okay, so that's cool. Yeah.
So one of the things I've noticed, I'd say in the last 5 to 6, maybe a little few more years, maybe even going on 8 or 9 now, is that the role of a man in society or even locally, sometimes even in their household, is, at least from a standpoint of mainstream, is to take a back seat.
Yep.
Yeah.
And what are some of your guys' thoughts on that? And because I was brought up in a way to yes, be strong, be have the illusion of danger, but never have to use any of those those strengths that a man has in order to get what he wants, because that just shows you've lost all power. So what are you guys seeing, or what's your philosophy on the way a man should navigate his life personally and professionally?
I think I totally agree that men have started taking a back seat. I think when it comes to being vulnerable and transparent with others, having a relationship, everybody wants someone that's just an open door that they can talk to. And I think previously it was men can be a lot more strong-headed, our way or the highway. And I think it's becoming a healthier, movement walking towards more being transparent in life. I think the one thing though that men need to understand is they can't lose their voice, right? I think we're starting to see the shift of, like you're saying, men, their voice is becoming less and less heard, but I think there's ways where we can still have our voice heard, but also, accept what other people are saying, hear what they're all about, and kind of step in the other people's shoes, to say the least, and really just understand, have sympathy and empathy towards others. I think, Eli, we've chatted about this before. Did you want to jump in about that?
Yeah. I mean, I just kind of look at it as, if somebody's gone through a divorce, if a guy's gone through a divorce, he's almost kind of like exiled. That's a horrible thing. He broke his word. Again, there's circumstances different in every divorce. Again, that's just kind of one example. Or like their business fails. They kind of have that stain on their reputation. And I think what we're trying to do as well is just create a vulnerable community. I know I've said that multiple times, but I think the modern man, masculinity, I think is going multiple different ways today. You see so much of it. We're influenced by so much of this like masculinity, like testosterone heavy kind of guy that's just dominating, in whatever it might be, whether it's like the physique or whether it is, what they have in life, in their business background, whatever that might be. So I think it's just kind of trying to bridge the two. And I think guys just need that voice. And I think that's really where the root is. I don't know if I really answered that. I was kind of going back and forth there, but.
Well, no, I think this is important to kind of explore, because this is what, when you're sitting down with men and talking to them, you're going to have to get through some of this stuff. So like 40 years ago, I'm 43. Manny, you're a tad bit older than me. And culturally, we might even just be talking to this U.S. microcosm, because things are a lot different in India. We've had some very interesting conversations.
No, I mean, like at the end of the day, like I believe everywhere globally, it's the same thing. Like if a man, fails somewhere, like other men will say, oh, he's a failure. He didn't know, what he was doing. But if a woman failed, okay, she was brave, to try.
Yeah. And here's the whole thing. And again, my perspective, my view, my lens, we all view lenses a little bit differently, the world through a different lens, right? So in my case, as a man, it's okay. I want to fail, because if I'm not failing, I'm not doing anything, right? Yep. And a lot of the times, I would say a majority of it, like most people, and I wasn't always this way. I used to avoid, I've always been a competitive guy, but I got to a point in my life in my mid-20s where I would avoid competing professionally, because I would jump to the conclusion, I'm not going to win anyway. I'm not going to get this. I'm not going to make that. It's not going to happen. I'm not even going to try. And that just, you start to live your life that way, and your results start to go that way, right? And so from a standpoint, if you apply that to masculinity, it's like, 40 years ago, the popular version of masculinity was Arnold Schwarzenegger, big, tough guy, throwing around a sword, shooting a gun, Rambo, like womanizing, that kind of stuff. But that's never classically or truly been what masculinity is. It's masculinity is strong, put things on your shoulders. Yes, to some degree, hold things in, but, build a family, protect your family, have a spouse or somebody that you can confide in and show your vulnerabilities to, but at the same time, not necessarily wear our emotions on our sleeves and be just a wreck. Yeah. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's my lens. And that comes through wisdom and learning from better people around me, screwing things up and learning that that's not the way to do it. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. And I think rewinding a little bit, talking about failure, I think one thing that we do really try to teach some of our students is, if you can look at failure through the lens of, well, what can I learn from it? Where's the opportunity moving forward, right?
Well, it's an event, not a person.
Right. Exactly. Like in business, every time that we would have, a dip or something we messed up on, it's like, okay, first let's look at it. Where did we miss the mark? Obviously that's something broken in our process and our pipeline that we need to fix. Let's move forward and then capitalize on that as a team and how we can, improve any processes or anything that came from that failure. And so applying that kind of mentality to men, I think, is really helpful, because I think a lot of us, like you're saying, it's hard to fail, but if you can at least change that lens and kind of start thinking about, well, what can I learn from that? What did I go through? And how can I improve myself? And how can I be self-aware that I'm seeing that I have these emotions and these behaviors after failure that's kind of keeping me at a low spot? How do I get back out of that?
Yeah, for me, it was before I had kids. I remember I was doing pretty well. I was progressing. I was getting paid more and more. It wasn't all that much, late 20s. But then I got fired. I mean, I literally just got hauled into my executive director's office and said, hey, the board asked me to ask you to leave, because if I don't ask you, they're going to ask us both to leave. And I was like, well, I thought I was doing okay. And then I had a choice. To blame, because there's all these people I could have blamed because they had influence on the decision that was made to get rid of me. Or I could just say I could have done better in all these different ways. And it took me a little bit and a couple drinks to get to that point. I remember. Sure. But again, I look back on that time, and I'm in like a local Rotary where I live with one of the people that was on the board at the time that asked the executive director to fire me. And I don't hold any ill will towards her, because if I would have stayed with that job, I would not be here. I would be doing something that I might not have what I have now, which I'm pretty proud of and I like. So I think a lot of success in manhood, at least, is the willingness to take responsibility. Sometimes that can be hard when you're the most important thing in your life. So I think, having family and other things that you realize that you're responsible for is a big part of growing up and being a successful man too.
I think you hit it on the head there, Brian, in terms of at least what we talk to a lot of students about. We get a lot of like business students as well, but leadership can be a form of masculinity. But the trait that we find and we try and hone people in on is gratitude and resilience. Both of those are like some of the best buzzwords and traits of a good leader, a good CEO in a business. And I think what you just said there about gratitude, and that's what sometimes we work with a student, they're really down this rabbit hole. And what's different in what we do and what like a therapist does is a therapist is going to look back. They're going to look backwards on what's happened. Whereas what we do as coaches is we look forward. So where I'm going with that is it's nice to kind of reflect on the past and say, you wouldn't be here today if that wasn't the case. So absorbing a ton of gratitude and then building that resiliency and that armor around you to know that you've gone down that path before. And the tools, and like we're going to give you more tools to be able to continue to build up and to the right. But I think resilience is a big part of that. But gratitude, I love what you said there, because that's such a powerful thing to recognize where you came from and recognize that it happened for a reason. And that's really what we're talking about day in and day out.
Cool. Very cool. So to be where you are, you've had to have gone through some stuff. You've mentioned it a couple of times. You've had some low points. Tell for each of you guys, or maybe it's a collective low point since you guys have partnered so much, but each of you, what's been your biggest struggle? When have you come the closest to just throwing in the towel?
Kyle, you jump in first.
I've had a few pretty brutal experiences. I don't know if brutal is the right word, but in 2018, I lost my home in the Camp Fire in Paradise, California. And then my parents' home burnt down the fire as well, and my whole city was burnt down. 2 days before that, me and my wife had a miscarriage, and so we got double hit. I mean, it was like I didn't know really, like, what's the purpose anymore? Like, why? What is this really what I'm being served? Like, how do you get out of something like that? So those were two very difficult times in my life that I had to be strong, be the backbone of my family. I had one son at the time and my wife. I have a second child now, but and my parents as well. Like, what are we doing, and how do we bounce back and be resilient from this? Luckily, at the time, I did have some self-discipline and self-awareness around my mindset, but a lot of that like year of dealing with everything that came with a catastrophe like that, that's where I found that, okay, it has to do with mindset, has to do with bouncing back. And then at the time, Eli and I were running one of our businesses as well, and it was a little rocky at the time. So we were already dealing with all of that. So that was a pinnacle in my life where I was like, okay, if I could drop a pin looking backwards 5-10 years, there was a moment where I woke up one day and I was like, I can't dwell anymore. I have to be the role model that my child and my wife need, and my parents. And I have to move forward in a way that, you know, everyone is going to follow me and change their mindset just by watching, you know, my actions and how I'm moving forward. So that is
thanks for sharing that. That's tough.
Yeah.
That's not easy to share. That's both of those things. You lose your home and then you lose a life that you already are attached to. Yeah.
Absolutely. And what was interesting was we actually had another miscarriage this past summer. And the going through that was actually more difficult than the first one, because the first one, 2 days later, the fire burnt. So we didn't have any time to even cope or think or anything or mourn on what happened. So the second one was really, really, really hard. It really was, like you said, you already fell in love with this beautiful child that you're already seeing the future and seeing, you know, what your house is going to change and everything, right? Them going to school, you're already starting to think about those things. And so I recently went through another experience that had to go and cope and through those things, but I'm so much stronger than I was then. I was able to really be aware of my emotions and really think and process. I don't want to say quicker, because it's not something you don't need to process quick. That's not what it is, but understanding how to process in the right way. So those were the big ones for me for sure. But
really,
if I didn't go through those, I wouldn't be who I am today. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah. And And as you, as we share these stories too, it hopefully it starts to paint a picture to the audience what we're doing and our mission and our new purpose and our fulfillment, which is Kyle and I are both stoked dudes. We are so happy. We are positive. We are fulfilled in life. And what we have gone through could have derailed so many people. And our goal is to find those people and show them that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And that's between our experiences with business and personal, that's what we're trying to do. So as it just paints a picture for everybody around some of that stuff. Kyle, you say something there?
Well, I just want to touch one thing. It's kind of like when people say, don't let the past define who you are.
Yeah. Well,
I think it's really, there's two different ways you can let your past define you. It's okay to let your past define you if you're walking forward in a positive momentum, learning from those things. Where a lot of people, they let their past define them, and it's just, that's who they are. They walk with that for the rest of their life. Like maybe someone that, had to go to prison for a few years, they let themselves define that for the rest of their life, and they can't get out of that mentality and stuck that, no, I can do better, I can improve, I can make impact at the end of the day. So,
and that happens on both sides, right, Kyle? Like whether it's a negative thing in the past or a super high point in the past.
Yes,
like
absolutely.
you win, you're like the most valuable player in your team. It's win the state championship in high school, and you never get beyond
never let
that.
It down.
And you live on that. It's like Uncle Rico from remember Napoleon Dynamite. That movie's like Uncle Rico. I could have been a pro, right? And he just lives there. But that stuff happens a lot in real life.
Yeah,
it does.
You see that effect of, I don't have any stats, but it's probably like 80%, but they're all made up on the spot anyway. But I know a lot of valedictorians and salutatorians from high school and even sometimes college. They peak only because they don't know what to do next. Absolutely. You know what I mean? And that could be just as sad as someone who can't get away from a really, really unfortunate experience too. Yeah. So Kyle, sorry, Eli, your turn, bud.
Yeah.
You got?
My kind of like,
I mean, this is important to me. Like we all love to get on shows and talk to each other about the millions of dollars we made, but I want to know, want to know how you overcome, because that tells me your mettle, how you overcome the obstacles.
yeah. And for me, kind of my trough was back in 2020. I mean, there was 2021. In a span of 2 weeks, I went through a divorce. I lost my uncle, who was kind of like this guiding. He was just kind of a mentor for me. And then our business had days before it was going to go under, and we were accountable for 15 heads. And it all happened in a span of 2 weeks. And there was, this incredible amount of, like, are we going to get through this? Am I going to mentally get through this? And then it was just about, for me, it was what I love, and one of my favorite pillars in our kind of methodology, which is ownership. And it's kind of stepping up to the plate and saying, I am accountable to these 15 people. I'm accountable to myself and my own health. I can't let that go down. So I got to focus on myself in order to be able to, be the best I can for these employees. I can't show them that we are in the last hours of this business. Can't show them that I'm hurt from, this divorce that I'm going through and losing my uncle. So the word resiliency, I got a tattoo really, really, close after all that went. It's on my shoulder here. He was in the Army, so it's an American flag, but it's all cut up. It's a distressed American flag. And to me, it symbolizes resilience from that 1-2 week period that I went through. And then we had to do for the business, lay off a certain amount of people to keep that ship to kind of be above water. And from then on, it's just been a body armor that I've never had before. And it came from those 2 weeks. And we've gone through some other stuff with businesses that Kyle and I have gone through, right? Like really big lows, but this was the one that my story is built on. And then from moving forward from that, there's so many positives that have come out of the divorce experience. I met the girl of my dreams a year and a half later. We're getting married, and she is just like the light of like my day. But if the divorce didn't happen, I would have never gotten to where I am today. And there's so many things you can back up. Like if I didn't marry that person in the beginning, I would never be in this town. I never met this person. I go back to that gratitude piece, and that's what I'm trying to bring to, that's my kind of side of peak fulfillment, is trying to help guys get through divorce, because it could just derail so many people. And I think it's meant to be. And I think in some ways, I think guys should go through divorces so that they have a crosshair that they're looking at. They have a checklist saying, in my next relationship, I want this stuff. And the only reason I know I want that stuff is because I went through this. And every divorce is different, but I do think that having the glass half full look is
no,
really
man, you can't get a divorce.
No, I'm not talking. I mean, divorce. I'm thinking of like as a failure. Like every man has to go through a failure to realize that there are. I mean,
exactly.
To realize like you learn from that failure and move forward. Yeah. Now after listening to all of you guys, here I'm hearing like a word like I went through this. I like had a really bad time. Now, when you are a man, I mean, you have to. There is no help around. I mean, maybe that's one of the reasons that you came up with this idea, because it's only me. Even you have your family and everything. If you fail somewhere, if you fail in your business, or if you fail somewhere, it's you who has to pick up, analyze like about your failures, and then move on. Like both of you both have like different experiences like of lows, but both of you did some introspecting and like already realized how to move forward yourself. Now your men's fulfillment, I mean before you came up with this idea about men's fulfillment, did you guys help each other out during that tough time or like did you just realized on it on your own, like, okay, this is the lowest, I have to pick up and like move forward? So did you guys help each other out? I mean, was it helpful that you guys were each other's life at that time?
I would say Eli and I are very community-based individuals. We rely heavily on friendships and relationships. I remember through the fire. I mean, dude, he said, come stay at our house because we were homeless for like a month or a month and a half. We were just kind of hopping hotel rooms, people's homes, and all that. Yeah, he was there. He was my number one. And then, of course, through the divorce, Eli, I think you could speak to that. But
yeah. I mean, it just.
So you were there for each other, right?
For sure.
We were there, yeah. It was. Yeah, I mean, we consider our significant other sister wives. Eli and I are so close. It's, he said earlier that she's the light of his world. I got kind of been out of shape when he said that because I always thought I was the light of his world.
I could see that in your face. I saw you kind of grimace. You're like, what?
I was kind of like, what, dude? Like, seriously?
So you guys had like each other, like most of the men don't have that privilege, like having someone in their life.
Yeah.
So how do you plan to help those, like men? I mean, like there are like a lot there who go through failure and then, they don't have anyone to turn to, for advice or for help. I mean, you there are lots of, psychologists there, but nobody likes to go to them, unless you are having a breakdown or something, And these failures are not breakdowns. These are, okay, a step in your life.
Yeah,
and people don't realize that. Men don't realize that it's just a step that you have to overcome and move on to the next. So how do you help those people? And or like, how do you plan to, reach to those people that there is a, something that we have started which can help you come to us?
Men have a really hard time finding community because we're singular. We want to support ourselves, like we were saying. I think teaching men to be comfortable with the uncomfortable is one of the biggest things that we can do to move ourselves forward in finding other people. And so through our coaching, we are accountability partners for them. We do check in, obviously, and we're working with them. And we break everything, a macro goal that they have, a milestone, let's say in 6 months, we break those into micro goals. And how are we going to move forward towards those? So it really depends on exactly what you see fulfillment being for you. What is it that you want to strive and run for? What's your purpose and what's your North Star that you're going towards? And then breaking that down. But the number one thing you have to learn is there's only growth and movement and expansion in your life when you become comfortable with the uncomfortable. So I think it's really just teaching men how to do that and then going through, where is community in your town, your life, your area, and learning how to really re-engage with people like we were children. Not having that guard up all the time, not always feeling that we need to be self-conscious, just walking in with real confidence and just, meeting people and talking to people. But it's really hard. It's really rare to have such close community and such close friends, like, obviously like you guys are, obviously, and like we are. We're really lucky to have that, but I think anybody can learn that.
So what's the biggest challenge in reaching guys to a point in making yourselves available as a company and getting that connection to get guys to even reach out to look into something that you guys do? Because I mean, I can speak from I'm pretty stubborn. It would take a lot, maybe it's those cataclysmic, things in our lives that, you're breaking down who do I turn to? A lot of people, like someone mentioned, therapy happens a lot. Well, that's something that it's got a stigma with it too, right? And I know a lot of people are trying to say, hey, if you need it, go get it. It's not as bad as you think it might be. But from a looking forward coaching standpoint, what are you guys doing to grow? I guess this goes into the marketing thing. And the follow-up to that is, you talked about your pillars. I think that sounds great, that methodology. How are you guys delivering it, differentiating yourself as a model for delivering the things you guys can for men?
So I'm going to start with the first part right there. I'll jump into that first one. Guys have that really hard crust that we have to break into to create that vulnerability. And that's where I think, like you said, we mentioned stubborn. I might be a little bit stubborn too before I went through that experience, and I leveraged a community, maybe tapping on the shoulder of people that went through a divorce. So building that community. But where I'm going with that is, how are we attracting those kind of people? Our goal is to be very vulnerable ourselves. Like you said, Kyle, that's a hard story to share. So thank you for sharing that. He was extremely vulnerable there. And that is what's going to attract that kind of person. Like, man, I can open up about this. I went through something similar. Kyle went through something similar. So our marketing approach is just to be ourselves. First of all, we are open, honest, transparent, vulnerable guys. So be vulnerable, be open. And then the second one is to just continue to be in front of these people, because being stubborn, you're not going to jump in the first one, take our assessment, take our academy, or jump into one-on-one coaching. You're going to need to see it a couple times. But our approach to that is very aggressive, might be an aggressive term, but it's very like in your face. Like we know that you need to make a change. We know that you're not fulfilled. We know you've seen this ad. How are you going to take the next steps? How are you going to own that you need to have fulfillment in life and really have the discipline to take a course? So that's kind of our approach, if that answered your question, Brian, on how we're going to approach how we are approaching this. And I don't know, Kyle, if you had add anything else there, but that's kind of our goal.
Our lead magnet is an assessment that we created. So it was a 130 question assessment that focuses on the 5 pillars of fulfillment. And so each one of those is around 25 questions, and it's a scale survey question base, right? So from 1 to 5, there's a question about self-awareness. Where do you rate yourself currently today? Have you done this before? Goal setting, how much discipline do you have? Things like that. And so when we get those results, we can go over with them and say, hey, you know what? Great job. You have self-discipline. You've done that. You've shown it through this assessment, but it looks like you're kind of lost. You don't know what your North Star is. You don't know what your purpose is. Through our coaching program or our online course academy, we can really dive deep on, let's find your purpose. Let's utilize your self-discipline. Let's learn a little bit more about having ownership in life and keeping yourself accountable, but let's help you find that purpose so then you can find the fulfillment in life. And so that peak assessment's free. That's our strongest lead magnet that we have. And then we jump on a call, we go over the results, and then just talk about, hey, these are different options. You can listen to what we have to say, check out our podcast, check out our content, or we have an academy and we do coaching. So that's really our give in our our lead magnet. So, and it does really well. People really enjoy taking it and then seeing the results. Because typically they're like, yeah, that's right. It's just kind of like a personality test. When you read it, you're like, yep, that's me for sure. It's not as extreme as like a Myers-Briggs, obviously. But it's our way to kind of help people kind of find where they need focus and balance.
So when people take these assessments and they come to you with, you go to them with the results, do you tell them the hard truths, or, like you just tell them, okay, you're doing good, but you can do better? Like for me, when someone, says that to me, it means to me, okay, you're not doing good. But that person is not being truthful to me, not telling me the, straightforward answer.
Totally.
Okay, you are down in the dumps, you need to pick up. You need to, get up and, okay, move forward with your life. Yeah. People generally, don't do that. Do you do that? Do you tell them, straight away,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they obviously walked into the assessment with some awareness, knowing that there's something that needs to be fixed internally and mentally. There's something going on in their life where they're just like, I see other people on social media reaching their fulfillment, or my neighbor down the street, or someone at church, or someone, another parent at my kid's school, like whatever it is. What is it that I'm missing? And then hopefully, they go through the whole funnel. But yeah, they need to hear the hard truth. That's what we all need to hear. And if you're not open to hearing it, then obviously you're not, comfortable.
You're not ready.
You're not ready to grow and really stretch yourself to where you need to be.
So when you tell these hard truths to people, like who take your assessments, what's the percentage of people who take it positively and, join your program? It's not very easy,
Nice.
like, okay, they know that, but someone telling you at your face, that.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That is so most people, in terms of percentage wise, it's kind of hard to say, but most people take it well because that's what they're looking for. It's just like if you, you're going to the gym and you have a personal trainer that's on you, and telling you to, be accountable and do the workouts. It's kind of the same thing. So they really need that person. They need that anchor in life, to tell them the truth. They might not have that in a community. Their spouse might not tell them that. So I think it's actually a good thing to really get on them and tell them. And then we can drill and dig deeper into what they're low in. Kyle and I have really good self-awareness. So we typically can pick up pretty quickly on, are they kind of holding back a little bit here, or do we need to kind of dive in and press a little harder? But the hard truth is something that we prefer to get to quickly because we want a student that can hear that.
We try to tie it to being relatable. So we try really
Exactly.
hard. If there's an area that we see that they need improvement, we just ask them, like, how can you relate this to your life? What's what's a hobby that you've always, or a goal that you've always ran towards? You know, what stopped you? Or what is it that's, making it so you can't find fulfillment? And so we use the assessment as a tool to find those small relatable points on the 5 different subjects that we really focus on.
Seems like a pretty good tool to help you guys, capture new business and help folks.
Yeah.
Is this fully launched now? You guys are fully operational and rolling?
Yeah. So we have some students. We're just about to launch our course. We had another course, but we've just fixed it all. The peak assessment is live. So our website is being redone right now. It's
we noticed
updated. Yeah. So it should be, we're kind of taking before Christmas kind of slow with ads and everything, just because this time of year people aren't really spending money. And then we're going to obviously do new ad campaigns. That's
Tell that to my wife. She's spending money. Yes,
well, I mean,
she
on
will
like
watch
other
this, and
stuff.
yes, she
like
will
I'm
slap me.
saying.
But she is spending some money, my man.
Yeah. Money on ourselves, I suppose. So yeah. And then we're going to come out with ad campaigns that are new me, new year, new mindset. So hopefully that will tie in with the peak assessment.
All right, this time next year, Kyle, sounds like you're heading up a lot of these marketing and sales related things. Where do you guys want to be this time next year?
We'd love to crest 60 students, 70 students. I think that would be really exciting. Have some other coaches behind our underneath our belt, helping with the process, getting them trained up. And ultimately, I would say in 1 to 3 years, we would really love to start doing in-person events. So 3 to 4 day boot camps, and really just diving deep and doing,
like hitting major markets, like conference kind of deals, and bringing people in from those markets.
That's the goal. But something like this, you don't want to grow too fast because of bandwidth, right? We can only coach
and you got to be able to yield results that you can then
So that's why we have the course and the academy. So the coaching isn't for everybody, whether it's because of financial or they're just not ready for in-person coaching, one-on-one. And so we have the academy that kind of goes over everything. It's hours and hours and hours of content that we've broken down that's easy, that's actionable. 15 plus worksheets to download and share with others if you want it. And then we do live Q&A calls every couple weeks. And just building a community of men that can be vulnerable together and work at these things together. Because our coaching program is a 6-month program is how we renew it. So we're not saying you're going to find fulfillment in 6 months, but let's focus on what can we get you towards your path, because there's always going to be a peak that you're needing to run towards. Otherwise, what's the point of the journey, right? So you want to just keep going, and maybe your fulfillment and your goals are going to change and the milestones need to be shifted. So,
What do you think some of your biggest obstacles are going to be to hitting those growth numbers?
I think it's going to be really trying to find those guys that are willing to put that shield down and jump into something like this. Be vulnerable. I think that's going to be our biggest, at least initial hurdle, and then we're hoping to kind of snowball this thing. And a buddy texts and says, "Hey, like this was really influential to me," and they see the change and they tell their friends about it. They tell their communities. I think those are going to be that's going to be the biggest hurdle, I think, for us to get to that.
Yeah, I think, and this is something that I'm getting to the point. I'm trying to block off my time to really implement this. But we had a guest on about a month or two ago. His name is Brandon Barnum. He's big on referrals, and he wrote a book, and he's got this whole systematic approach to referral growth, especially for a company like you guys, especially because you're not only you're helping men become successful and fulfilled, but you're teaching them how to connect as well, and they're gonna connect. They're gonna use these new skills to connect, and empowering those guys to
absolutely
to point other folks in their life in their direction. Because I could sit down right now and think of 20 guys in my life that man, they're just awesome dudes. If they could just pull a lever or two and flip a switch, they could be doing so much more if they wanted to. Maybe they don't want to, and that's okay too. But But I think referrals. So if there's somebody I would say to try to connect with, I can have Matt send you his information because he was I read his book about a week or two ago, and good dude. Really cool.
Love it.
Referrals are one of those things that seem ambiguous. Well, we can grow through referrals, but it's just luck of the draw. No. This guy Brandon has got a really cool approach to systematizing it within your sales and marketing routines.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be really cool. Love to meet him.
Yeah, awesome. Let's talk about we're getting at about the 45-minute mark here. So we're pushing close. We want to use your time wisely. We also want to do some fun stuff.
Yeah. So before I have one more question.
Nope, too late. Sorry, Manny. Moving on. Here we go. No, go ahead, dude.
See what I'm dealing with? Okay. Anyway, so we talked about like people coming to you who are like looking for something, like overcome something. I mean, do you get kind of are you looking to help people who have reached a level and now looking at what's next? I mean, people who are already successful, men who are already successful, but they don't know what to do next. I mean, is that something that you guys are doing also with this company of yours?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that's our main target, but I think what we could speak to is everyone doesn't have full balance in their life, right? Yeah. Obviously, you only have so much time in the day and the resources that you're putting towards certain things. So most likely if someone's very successful, they probably spend a lot of hours on their business. So, and their work-life balance may be off, or maybe they're struggling with the relationship with their wife, or maybe building a relationship with their children, or maybe their physical health just isn't quite there. So I think everyone can have restored balance in certain areas. But people that have built a lot of success in their life, they've obviously done it through their systems and their processes, and they're probably very much in their way, but having them being and opening them up to, hey, what about this process on growth and how can we help you focus on those different things? Yeah, for sure. We could definitely help. But I don't know if Eli, you wanted to touch on that.
I would have said the exact same thing, Kyle. I would have said balance. Just trying to have them find more balance in life. Because I think even if they've kind of reached their top, they're likely, they already have that mindset to continue to grow and not stop. So I think there's something else that we could dive in and find with them to help them even push even harder, continue to push. I think is where we go with that.
What I exactly meant was, people who are successful, but
are we talking about a guy whose name rhymes with Danny?
Who's that?
Manny rhymes with Danny. It's kind of like that guy who's like, I got a friend, and my friend, let's call him Joe.
Yeah. Just asking for a friend real quick. So I think
no, it's not. No, I have seen that a lot.
Yeah, me too.
Like when you're talking about business, in businesses, you are successful. You are doing the right thing and everything, but at one point of time in everybody's life, you don't see a way forward. It's not that, you're not successful at your business, but if you're not moving forward, then you're going backwards because there is nothing called, stationary, because life goes on, things change, things evolve, businesses evolve, new technology comes in. And if you are stuck at somewhere, even though you are successful, but you are not able to see, the point after that, how to grow this thing, how to move forward. And if I don't move forward, I'll start going backwards. I'll lose my business. I'll lose, like my reputation in the market, because new people are coming in with new ideas and everything, and I'll become obsolete. So that's Manny, the guy who rhymes with Danny. Yeah. So, but that is also, like a stressful, time for men, men who have achieved success, but now they are not able to move forward. They are losing that success, over a period of time, say 5 years. And if they don't do anything at that time, they will lose everything.
I think there's a little bit of carrot and stick there. I'll let you guys are the experts, but I've been there. You've been there.
I've been there. Yes.
It's like
men like those also need encouragement, right?
I think complacency causes that. I think you get to a point of success in your life, and then you achieve what you set out to achieve, and then you don't reset the next goal or the next standard that you're shooting for. Yeah. You don't put another carrot out there. Like, your life shouldn't be about the carrot, but the carrot should be the motivation to achieve things that helps you fulfill your purpose and help others and do all those things that you want to do. That's kind of my view on it.
That's super good.
Guys, what do you guys think?
That was great. I think we would have taken an approach of like helping them define what does success look like for them, kind of hearing that out a little bit, and then trying to tie it back to like their original, like the heartbeat of why they got into it, or what their morals and their purpose. That would be kind of where we would go with somebody like that, is helping them kind of define what is actual success. How are they defining that for themselves?
Yeah, it's just getting to the root cause. What do you want in life?
Yeah.
Right? And how are we going to help you get there? We're just coaches. We're not going to do the work for you. We're going to be the best accountability partner that we can be for you. We will make sure to keep you accountable and walk you through that and say, okay, let's say success is you've got millions in your bank account. Money and finances are not even a thought anymore. Right? So what more do you want out of life? You accomplish that, celebrate that, and move forward and say, okay, well, you know what? I actually need to work on building community, right? I don't have anybody. I don't have anything. How can we help you start to get in the mindset of building community? But it's hard to reset for sure. I do get what you guys are saying. And I love the analogy, Brian, that you came up with the carrot.
I do too.
It's a really good way to look at it.
And it's like we were talking about before. When you're young and you achieve something, you get a trophy, or like I used to hold on to all my old trophies when I used to play baseball and football and all that kind of stuff. And then I packed them all away, and I'm like, I don't put them on my desk and look at them anymore, because then you just think that that's it. Mm-hmm. You accomplish that, and every time you go to try to do something new, I would approach that situation as though I was already the person who earned the trophy in something else, but that's not, you can't go into it like that.
Exactly.
Why I was, talking about this is, okay, there is something called, that's an English term, but, midlife crisis. Midlife crisis, you have heard about, men. Okay, when you're at 20, okay, you can take risks. And, okay, if something failed, okay, let's try again, because, okay, your parents and everyone, they will encourage you. But when you become responsible for other people in your life, when you have, like you said, I have 15 heads to feed, to take care of. And at that point, say around 40, 42, 43, I have seen people, back in India, some of my relatives, and, okay, even though I tried to encourage them and everything, but they went through this midlife crisis, and they,
just give up. It's too late. I can't do that again.
Because, okay, they got comfortable with the success. And what I have learned, with my experience, with other people's experience, this midlife crisis is real. Okay.
It's a trap.
And it's a trap. You get comfortable, and okay, now I have, lots of money.
Absolutely.
I'm a successful businessman. Okay, I'm comfortable. I don't have a next goal or anything. I think those people also need help, because when they get comfortable, the times change, new technology comes in, their business becomes obsolete. And within, couple of years, they are looking for new jobs, or, finding ways how to survive, this, because their family, and everything that they provide to their family, they are now used to that kind of comfort.
Absolutely.
And for men, it's very difficult, to start everything, especially at that age, to start from scratch. Mm-hmm. So how do you kind of, these people also need help who get comfortable, right?
Absolutely.
Totally.
They have to realize that, getting comfortable is not an option for men.
Yeah.
You have to keep moving forward.
Well, that's a whole other subject, Manny. Society teaches us to pursue comfort.
Yeah.
And all you get when you pursue comfort is you never catch it. Like it's comfort.
Again, it's the lens, I'm seeing it through, because I've seen lots of people, going through that midlife crisis. I thought, people were, when I was in my 30s, there is nothing like that.
Yeah.
But I have seen that happen.
I've
seen that happen.
I want to seek a life where I can retire and do nothing. What happens when most men retire and do nothing?
Yeah.
They die.
Yep.
Right? They die. Either emotionally or physically, they just kick the bucket.
Yeah.
Like comfort is, it's like the first law of thermodynamics. It's like once you remove stress or from any situation, all you build is weakness.
Yep.
Like if you never stress yourself, your body deteriorates. If you never stress your mind, it deteriorates. Same thing in life here. It's like,
You nailed it. I think that could be a whole another podcast topic on comfortability, because we talk about it all day long between Kyle and I. But one point I'd make there, Manny, was, and this is being open and vulnerable, is when Kyle and I first started talking about setting out to build this company, there was a little, that question came up multiple times, almost like an imposter syndrome almost, or like, can we really help a millionaire, a CEO millionaire reach peak fulfillment? Like, this guy's way above us in terms of like financially, you know, he's older than us. And it really came back to how we can teach balance. We have a lot of other things that he probably doesn't have, you know, an incredible community, incredible, you know, mental fortitude that we could probably teach him. And if he's going through this midlife crisis, we have other tools that we're trying to work through, that are just kind of helping him ground himself and look back and, you know, his wisdom and experience and how he can push that forward. That's where we took it. And that's where we will continue to take it with a client that comes in like that. Because in the beginning, it was very intimidating for us that, you know, I don't remember that, Kyle, when we were talking about what happens if this guy comes in the door. So that was kind of our approach and is our approach moving forward.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I mean, everybody needs help, right?
Yeah. So here's a question want to put in, and maybe it's a good segue into the fun stuff because it's on but off topic. You guys, you've done podcasts for a long time.
Yep.
You're kind of on a circuit. You're going to be doing a lot of podcasts. What's one thing that you don't typically get to share or talk about in podcasts that you wish you could?
That's a great
That's a hard
question.
Tough one.
We're pretty open. I think part of it, like, okay, so like when you brand yourself, you want to brand yourself as success because you want somebody to follow you, right? You want to role model what they want, because that's how you're going to become a leader. You show, oh, I've done this, I've been there, I have these accolades and stuff. But I think the truth is that we're all just going through the same ups and downs, lows and highs. We're all just trying to figure out in life where to get. And like, although we have some cool accolades, we've built some good businesses and stuff, we're still like looking for fulfillment ourselves. We're still looking for success. We're still chasing that. And I think if you're trying to be an authority leader and a voice in like a specific space, it's hard to walk with that. You have to kind of act like you're, you know, you know what you're doing and you're moving forward and you are a success already, when in reality we're just like everybody else trying to figure this out. We're starting this, you know, this coaching business with the mentality of our fulfillment comes with helping other men fulfilled. So the only way we can help ourselves is to help you. So let us help you help ourselves help you. And so I just think that kind of deep. Just being being vulnerable about just like the position you're in and not really like, that's not something most people talk about on podcasts. We don't really dive into that, but it's just, you know, the truth can be really powerful when you kind of take away the veil and just say, this is who I am and this is what we're working on right now. Yeah, we might not know a lot about this subject or this area that we're talking on, someone with a podcast, but this is where we can kind of take it and kind of form that into a conversation. So that's what came to mind when you asked that. I don't know.
What came
bought you some time, Eli? What do you got, buddy?
Yeah, for me, it's something kind of similar. Would be that the reason that we're doing this is it's and we don't really get asked this all the time, like why we're doing this, and it really is for Kyle and I to find fulfillment as well. We've always helped people out in all aspects of life for our entire life. We've always been kind of this leader role, and we really are doing this to where we can create fulfillment. If we can look back and create a legacy where we've helped, even if it's 10 guys, I don't care, help them find fulfillment in life, and they're ultimately a happier human being, and they can come home better to their spouse, and they can provide more fruit for their family and be a better leader at work. That's extremely fulfilling to us. So that's something I don't think we get asked a lot, and I love that question.
Cool. Well, you can thank Matt for that. He put that on.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Matt.
So obviously we're in the peak holiday season. It's Christmas time. Do you guys celebrate Christmas? I don't want to assume.
Yes, sir.
We do.
Awesome. I do too. Manny does because I make him. That's okay. So what's your favorite thing about this time of year?
The gifts for sure. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
It's not the
Come on, man.
gifts.
It's okay to be vulnerable here.
Yeah.
Right? It's okay to be honest with the truth and be
Yeah.
vulnerable. It's okay to be selfish at this point.
Yeah.
His love language is gifts. You guys hear that?
Kidding.
Go get him something.
For me, it's definitely just hanging out with family. I love being around family. We play games all the time. That's like a family thing that we do. Constantly playing board games. So I'm looking forward to going home and hanging out with the fam.
Where's home?
Home is Northern California. So we're up in Oregon. So we're really just
right. Not
back home isn't too far.
Cool. How about you, Kyle?
I got two things that come to mind. One, seeing the magic in my children's eyes during this time of year. I have a 4-year-old and an 8-year-old. So those two boys, it's just like, come like probably November 15th, right? You know, it's just like they're just filled with joy and bliss and just like so excited for Santa and it's Christmas morning and all that. And then, I go to church. I'm a Christian. And so this time of year at church is just really powerful, celebrating our Savior and just being it's always really just really powerful this time of year. And it always helps ground me for my beliefs and my morals and values.
Amen, brother.
Yeah. So it's really important time of year for me for that as well. So those are the big, it's just December's awesome.
Yeah. I got 4 kids and similar age. I've got a 12, a 10, a 5, and a 2-year-old.
Wow.
And so my 12 and my 10-year-old, they're on team parents now. They're on the other side of the Santa world.
Totally.
And that was a tough time for us. Like for me, because like I wanted to stretch that out as far as possible because it's such a fun time as a parent. But it's also kind of funny. Like the other day, Arya goes to me, like, I don't think my 5-year-old's going to watch this. Hun, when you watch this at this point, turn it off if Emerson is watching. Okay. Anyway, so my daughter Arya, who's 10, but she acts like she's 17. She's like, Mom, you guys tell us all the time that lying's bad and we shouldn't lie and we should tell the truth and it's bad. But all month you guys have been doing nothing but lie. And we're like, busted.
That's so funny.
Right? It's
That's
like
hilarious.
it's so true, but no, it's fun. Like do you guys do the elf on the shelf thing?
Yes. Our elf's name
Yeah,
is
that's
Michael.
the worst invention ever. I'd love to go back in time and stop that.
That gut feeling at 4 a.m. and you're like, shoot, I didn't move him. That is the worst. And then of course you're trying to be quiet so you don't wake the kids up.
Fly in the bed.
Dude, I can't stand it. We
So
brought it into
we're
our
just
house years
dumb.
ago. And
We're dumb. We started the thing years ago when we only had one, and we kept it up for all of them. So 2 of them will help us sometimes, and they'll help remind us. My wife's got a thing on her phone that says "Move the damn elf," and it's like, and we still forget. And she's kind of laid up now. She's had a surgery, so it's all on me now. And we do this thing. We started because years ago we realized how little we used to read and how dumb we were, and like we really wanted to emphasize reading and with our kiddos.
Yeah.
And so every day the elf brings a new book for all the kids. And
wow. That's
so there's some
commitment.
planning on the front end, like months ahead. She's picking out books and getting books and starting to wrap them. And she knew she was having surgery. She got them all wrapped and everything. That's all set. Got the names on them. Everybody knows who's getting what. But last night I grab them, I take them downstairs, and it was a little early. And sometimes my 5-year-old wakes up, comes downstairs, had a bad dream, got to put her back to bed. And so I take the books downstairs and I put them off to the side in one of our rooms. It's a classroom. And I forgot to put him out under the tree. My daughter goes downstairs this morning. She's like, his name is Chippy. Chippy didn't bring any books.
Jeez.
I'm like, that Chippy's a kid, or did you find him yet? Did you find where he is? She's like, no. This happened like a week ago. I screwed it up.
Oh my.
And I'm like, did you look in the basement? She's like, no. I could go down there and look. I bet you he might have tried something new. And I quick run and get the books and
Dude,
hide them
totally
somewhere
been
else.
there. Yes. That's so funny.
Oh, that's stupid
awesome.
elf. My wife found a video on YouTube the other day. I think it was YouTube or Facebook, where like the extremes that we go to for the elf, and had this guy sitting out on his front porch. He's in front of his Ring camera with the elf, like slowly bringing the head of the elf in front of the Ring camera.
That's
And
awesome.
then back down to prove to the kids that he's like running around outside at night.
Oh my gosh. That's hilarious.
That's hilarious. Wow.
Anyway, so Do you guys do a big family thing on Christmas morning or Christmas Eve, or where you get together a big meal or anything?
My parents are the only people around where we live.
Yeah.
I don't really have a big family, so we actually just do stuff with my parents.
Yeah.
Pretty small, low key, which I like. Growing up, it was massive, and being an adult, I'd rather just do the kids and just focus on them.
Yeah, secret here too is I like the low stuff too, but we do a couple different things. But how about you, Eli? Do you back home? Everybody get together Christmas vacation? Everybody comes to the house and mass chaos.
I kind of wish that I did that for Thanksgiving this year. The first year I kind of hosted it. We had my fiance's family, my family, and I definitely felt like Clark most of the time, just running around. I don't know if I'm into that too much anymore, but usually Christmas for me is like I'm a band on tour. Like every single day and night, I'm somewhere different. Morning Christmas, afternoon Christmas, evening Christmas with second grand. I mean, it is wild. This year it's a little bit more tame because we're just doing. My fiance does an early Christmas. We're leaving today, so we're doing something really early because they got people that fly out from Indiana. So it should be a lot more laid back. There should be a lot more laid. I'm really looking forward to it versus sprinting for just 4 days straight. Just
all right, this isn't on the list. I'm going to skip the holiday dish one. You guys seem like really cool. I can imagine like us all being buds when we were like 12.
For sure.
What's your favorite Christmas gift you ever got as a kid, or like that you wanted, that you did crazy stuff to like?
Dude,
what's your Red Ryder BB gun?
Razor scooter.
When you were a kid.
I already got it.
Really?
Razor scooter with a wheelie bar. Done. Yep.
That was it when those came out. I remember when those came out.
It had the suspension one and the wheelie bar. I was so pumped on it. That was it. I mean, I got it. That was quick.
Could you go outside Christmas morning and get on it, or
for sure?
Was there? Yeah.
No, absolutely. We did that. I was out there
California, right?
Right after we finished gifts. I was in the street.
Nice.
Amazing.
I love how that was so fast. Like you could tell you just thought about it recently.
Vivid in my memory.
How about you, Kyle?
I've got two. When CD boomboxes came out, right? It was like that was the big one, and then a basketball hoop. And I can totally remember waking up. I remember asking for a basketball hoop, and I didn't even go downstairs. I just looked out my window of my bedroom because it faced the road, and it was there. And it was just like I got what I wanted. The heck with everything else. So the basketball hoop was
like the Lexus in the driveway with the bow on it, right? It's like
totally.
Did you like run outside, just start shooting?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and my mom got pissed off because it was like 5 a.m. She's like, Kyle, get your butt inside. You're waking everybody up. But I was like, I don't know how old I was, 7, 8, something like that. And I was like, I got my basketball
Those are the
hoop.
best times.
So, what about you guys?
Were you guys like leading up to Christmas, dropping notes like?
Oh, for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
For sure.
I
probably asked Santa 4 different Santas at all the different malls. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, when it was that year that I was 9, same year I saw Christmas Vacation.
Okay.
I remember the biggest thing I wanted, and it shifted like a month before Christmas. The biggest thing I wanted was I wanted a big old trampoline in the backyard, because we had some friends that we used to visit all the time, and they would, visit with them, and I'd be in the backyard just jumping. And all I wanted was a trampoline. I put signs up all over the house, trampoline, get me a trampoline, please. I really want a trampoline. And then I think it was October or November, a new video game console was coming out, and all the commercials started showing up. It was for a TurboGrafx 16. And it turned out to be just this bomb of a system. It was terrible, but I loved it. I still do. But that's all I wanted. I tore down all the pictures in the house, and TurboGrafx.
Nice.
And I found out later they had already bought the trampoline. They had already had it. It was hidden in like a shed in the backyard or something. They had to take it back.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I ended up getting it too.
That's awesome.
I ended up getting the TurboGrafx and stuff, but I have this old Polaroid picture of me like holding the box to the system with a big thumbs up, and I had a
That's so awesome.
This is like 89.
I
was wearing a Def Leppard shirt.
You were such a pain for your parents. You were such a pain for your parents. They got you.
And these were foster parents. I was a foster kid. These folks were awesome.
That's
but
awesome.
like I was a butthole. I was a spoiled brat for a while. I really was. But I got over that really quick later on. But it was that good times. I mean, it's a little different, like culturally in India. There's some Christmas kind of stuff that goes on now. It's a little bit different. But you guys have Diwali, and you guys have different different times. Is there something equivalent to that in your guys' culture?
No,
maybe?
I mean, all the festivals that we have is, like, it's all like family festival. It's not about, like giving gifts to each other.
Yeah.
I mean, in Diwali, we give gifts, not to, like within the family, but, like to our relatives.
Neighbors
We go
and
to,
stuff.
neighbors and stuff, like we go to their houses, share, like sweets.
Yeah.
And we give them gifts. They give us gifts. So yeah, in Diwali, like, okay, the roads in Delhi are, like jam-packed because everybody has, like lots of gifts in their car and they are trying to get to somewhere, and it's a mess.
It's the festival of headlights.
Yeah. So yeah. But yeah, I mean, what I remember about, Christmas as a growing up, I mean, the most fun was, like we used to get like 5 days vacation as a holiday. So Christmas holidays was most fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that's what
awesome.
we loved about Christmas. And now
That's
we
awesome.
have started, like putting up, I mean, like all the kids are, because of internet and everything, they love every festival. So back in India, we used to have this Christmas tree. I mean, I've shown you that, right? Right. So now we have Christmas trees and, like we put in gifts for our kids.
Yeah.
I mean, it was never before, but now everybody is doing that. Everybody has a Christmas tree at their house.
Wow.
Like, okay, they light it up. I mean, it doesn't matter what faith they are, they just celebrate Christmas.
That's awesome.
I mean, people want to celebrate, like, okay, they just need a reason. It's not about, like religion or anything anymore. I mean, they want to celebrate this symbol of Christmas, spreading joy.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
Very, very
Well, guys, we went long. Hopefully, you guys aren't too upset about that.
Good.
I'd
No.
keep you longer if I could, but we all got days to get back to and businesses to grow and butts to kick. So this has been great. You guys are the first guests that we've had that have been a twofer. So that was pretty
Awesome.
exciting.
Hopefully it was a good test run.
Yeah. Gosh, this has been great. Kyle, Eli, thank you so much for joining the Business Line podcast today. Hopefully someday we can bring you guys back. Maybe this time next year we'll have a little Christmas celebration. We'll talk
you
about
go.
all those goals you hit and all 60 plus
And,
of
like
those
next
people
time,
you're helping. Huh?
Yeah, next time I'll bring Danny also.
Yeah.
So don't forget about him.
Danny.
That's awesome.
Danny
Well, thank you
might be one
guys.
of those
guys.
students.
Yeah. Thank you
That's
guys
cool.
so much
So-
for having us on.
Awesome.